And we're going to go now.
Holy crap. Is that you, David? Wow. You look so young, so thin.
From the Grand Lodge of England in 1717 down through the occult, theosophical, and co-Masonic New Age leg of the thing here.
Whoa. Hold on a second there, Slim. What do we got going on here? Okay, so, wow, okay. All roads lead to the Antichrist. All right, okay. I just carry on there, Slim.
Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the foundation of the Theosophical Society, which is very important to the understanding of the modern New Age movement. These are the three founders of the Theosophical Society. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, who was also a Freemason.
No, she was not a Freemason, David.
She was a member of co-Masonry, which was legitimately chartered from the Grand Orient of France, and it was it would allow men and women both in the lodge meetings, and you can imagine what that led to.
It didn't lead to anything. I guess maybe it led to equality, or in the case of Alice Bailey, it led to her involvement in the feminist movement and equal rights for women. Oh, the horror.
Bill Schneblin could tell you about that. And the other two gentlemen here, Henry S. Alcott and William Q. Judge, were also Freemasons.
No, neither one of those gentlemen, Henry S. Alcott or William Q. Judge, were Freemasons.
And before the foundation of the Theosophical Society, Albert Pike was involved in meeting with these people. But Pike was not listed as one of the actual founders of Theosophy, but he was involved.
That's because he wasn't involved in founding the Theosophical Society. He had no interest in the Theosophical Society, David. That's why there's no evidence of it.
Now, these are a couple of the ascended masters that Helena Petrovna Blavatsky claimed to channel, the Master K.H. Kuthumi and the Master M. And this is a big forerunner to the modern New Age movement. Madame Blavatsky is considered by New Age scholars as the mother. She is often called the mother of the modern New Age movement. And as you can see, this was born in Masonic philosophy and teaching, founded and propagated by Freemasonry. Now, the woman that headed Theosophy after Madame Blavatsky was this lady, Annie Besant, and she worked with a man named Charles Leadbeater. Now, to the right, you see Miss Annie Besant in her co-Masonic regalia. And there are three pictures here of Mrs. Besant from three periods in her life. And there in her later years, she's in her co-Masonic regalia. And she worked with a man by the name of Charles Leadbeater, who was also a very famous 33rd degree Freemason.
The reason why you have a picture of her in her co-Masonic regalia is because, yes, she was a co-Mason.
And this is a picture with the arrow pointing to Miss Annie Besant of a group of 33rd degree co-Masons who, as I said, they had their charter off the Grand Orient of France. And these co-Masons were some of the real elite hard hitters in the occult world.
They were the elite hard hitters of the occult world? Those co-Masons? What were these hard hitters up to, David?
They were the absolute kingpins of the occult in their day.
Whoa, wait a second. They were also kingpins? So they were the kingpins of the occult world. Wow, so what were these kingpins up to?
People like Blavatsky and Besant and Leadbeater and people like this. And a lot of people don't realize that there were ever women involved in Freemasonry, but there certainly were. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the New Age, the New World Order, and the coming one world religion. We have a book here, and this is something very interesting. And I hope you can see it. It might be a little hard for you to see. But this is a book called The Consciousness of the Atom by Alice Bailey. And Alice Bailey, more or less, took the mantle from Annie Besant as the leader in Theosophy. And they formed a publishing company in New York called Lucifer Publishing Company. And to this day, one of the most prestigious New Age organizations is Lucis Publishing Company. And right there, Larry's pointing to it on the same book. On there, where Larry pointed, it says Lucifer Publishing Company, and over here, Lucis Publishing Company.
That's because around 1924, they changed the name of Lucifer Publishing to Lucis Publishing. But Lucis and Lucifer both have the root of light and light bearer. And that is how I'll put a link below to how Lucis Publishing originally started their publishing company by the name of Lucifer and how they view it. And also then later on they changed the name to Lucis Publishing. So if you're interested in that, there's a link below.
Both titles on the same book. And what is today known as the prestigious, and this used to have its office in the UN.
So they had their office in the UN? You mean the same building? Wow, that's really weird. They must have had some kind of an influence on each other, right? I mean, they must have bumped into each other on the way to the restroom and exchanged ideas. Isn't that what you're leading at there, David?
It was originally founded as Lucifer Publishing Company, and that goes back to Madame Blavatsky's Lucifer magazine. And of course, this is just the belief that Lucifer is really a great guy that's going to bless your socks off in the occult.
What? What the hell are you talking about? Okay, again, there's the link below as to why they called Lucifer Publishing, and it'll give the explanation there.
Which is just Satan's original lie.
It must be so hard going through life with these ridiculously narrow glasses on, looking at the world through the perception of Satan and God.
But this is Alice Bailey's book, The Externalization of the Hierarchy, and it discusses religious orders in the New Age. And they told us a long time ago, this was written in the 40s, they told us what they were going to do, and they have done it. And still some people aren't getting it.
So I'm going to try and summarize this the best that I can. The Theosophical Society very much believed in a new age. A new age was coming. That's why it was called the New Age movement. This new age was the dawning of the Age of Aquarius. I'm sure you've probably heard that song before. And it was supposed to be a time when we were moving into the Age of Aquarius, which was going to be a time of spiritual enlightenment, great knowledge, basically launching humanity into a new era, a new dawn, a new age. And exactly when this time was supposed to begin is really, they don't exactly know. A lot of people say it's 2012, some people say it's a different time, some people say it's going to happen in 20 or 30 years. Nobody really knows exactly when the dawn of the Age of Aquarius is supposed to happen, but this is what the Theosophical Society pretty much was, when they're speaking of a new age, this is what they're talking about. The Theosophical Society is not Luciferian, absolutely not Luciferian. They believed in the Christ, meaning that the Buddha, Christ, other people like that were ascended masters. So Jesus was an ascended master, Buddha was an ascended master, and human beings could become like ascended masters. So that is what they are talking about when they're talking about the New Age.
But she said the three main channels through which the preparation for the New Age is going on might be regarded as the church, the Masonic fraternity, and the educational field. And that is exactly what they've done. They've went after the church, they've went after education, and they've done it through the lodge. All of them are as yet in relatively static condition, and all are as yet failing to meet the need and to respond to the inner pressure. But in all of these three movements, disciples of the great ones are to be found, and they are steadily gathering momentum and will before long enter upon their designated task. Now, this was written in the 40s, and we've got a fulfillment in our day of what she said back then.
So there would be a link to this PDF below. The passage before where he began is important for context so that we understand exactly what Alice Bailey was talking about. She says that the church, which church? Well, the Christian church, must show a wide tolerance and teach no revolutionary doctrines or cling to any reactionary ideas. The church, as a teaching factor, should take the great basic doctrines and, shattering the old forms in which they are expressed and held, show their true and inner spiritual significance. The prime work of the church is to teach and teach ceaselessly, preserving the outer appearance in order to reach the many who are accustomed to church usages. Teachers must be trained, Bible knowledge must be spread, the sacraments must be mystically interpreted, and the power of the church to heal must be demonstrated.
She goes on, the Masonic movement, when it can be divorced from politics and social ends and from its present paralyzing condition of inertia, will meet the need of those who can and should wield power. It is the custodian of the law. It is the home of the mysteries and the seat of initiation. It holds in its symbolism the ritual of deity, and the way of salvation is pictorially preserved in its work. Exactly what Manly P. Hall said, that the Rosicrucians took the ancient doctrine from the mysteries and embedded it into the ritual. The methods of deity are demonstrated in its temples, and under the all-seeing eye, the work can go forward. It is a far more occult organization than can be realized, and is intended to be the training school for the coming advanced occultist. In its ceremonials lies hid the coming advanced occultist. In its ceremonials is hid the wielding of the forces connected with the growth and life of the kingdoms of nature and the unfoldment of the divine aspects in man. In the comprehension of its symbolism will come the power to cooperate with the divine plan.
She goes on to write, it meets the need of those who work in the first ray of will or power. The church finds its mission in the helping of the devotee, in aiding the great public which is innately religious and of good will. It hides in its heart those who vibrate to the great love ray, the second ray of love, wisdom. Christ himself works through it and by its means seeks to contact the vast Christian public.
Foster Bailey, who was the husband of Alice Bailey, was a 32nd degree Freemason who lectured extensively through lodge halls throughout America. This book, The Spirit of Masonry by Foster Bailey, is still sold by McCoy Publishing Company, and I appreciated what Dwayne said. Dwayne said he believed that there would be nothing sold by McCoy that would not be an accurate reflection of Masonic thought, and I agree with that very much, what Dwayne said. But in this book, this is what Foster said, Masonry and the Universal Religion. It is not possible from a contemplation of this side of Masonic teaching that it may provide all that is necessary for the formulation of a universal religion. And I'm sorry, is it not possible? May it not be true, as has been said, that if all religions and scriptures were blotted out and Masonry were left in the world, we could still recover the great plan of salvation. Now, isn't that an awesome statement? You could throw out every religion and just keep Freemasonry, and you'd still have the plan of salvation. Most earnestly should all true Masons consider this point, and I really wish that they would consider that point, and I think if they would, some of them would get out.
Hold on a second there, David Carrico. There's a big section that you're missing. He goes on to write, right after consider this point, which is a comma, but he goes on to say, for in the world of religious thought today, the crying need is for some presentation of the great spiritual truths which will be inclusive, satisfying, and free from sectarian connotation. The study of this position will reveal to any earnest Mason that if Masonry is ever to achieve this ideal, it will be impossible for him to be against any man or any religion. He will be for all true seekers after light, no matter what their race or creed.
He goes on, a revitalized Masonry, made up of Masons true to their obligations and realizing the mystic tie that binds them all together in one true brotherhood, would also provide a platform so universal that it would meet the need of thinkers of all kinds and of every school of thought. It would thus not only meet the religious need by providing a universal religion, but would also satisfy the mental need felt by all broad-minded thinkers of this time. Foster Bailey, The Spirit of Masonry.
Yes, David, but he goes on to say, we are so tired of differences, so weary of polemics, based on religion, so distraught by the social, political, and economic quarrels of thinkers in every land, which, considering the scope of this particular video, I find incredibly ironic.
So you can see how Freemasonry, through the New Age, is providing the platform for the coming one-world religion.
No, actually, David, no, I can't see that.
Now, this is the September 1950 issue of the New Age magazine, the official organ of Scottish Rite Freemasonry.
I see you trying to stitch together various articles. You're pulling from the Theosophical Society, then you're pulling from some writer, Foster Bailey, who was married to Alice Bailey, and now you're pulling in some article from Scottish Freemasonry called New Age from the 1950s. So, no, David, actually, all I see here is you pulling at various strings, trying to tie everything together.
And it contained an article entitled, God's Plan in America. I'll read. You don't need much commentary here.
I'm going to put up the entire article from this New Age magazine from September of 1950, and then I'm going to highlight the sections that you have chosen to pick out.
There are 3 plans in action in America today, and they all have different purposes. The first plan is God's plan, a non-sectarian plan. The second is the Roman Catholic plan. And this is a denominational or sectarian plan. And the third is the communistic plan and anti-capitalistic plan. God's plan is dedicated to the unification of all races, religions, and creeds. This plan, dedicated to the new order of things, is to make all things new. A new nation, a new race, a new civilization, and a new religion. A non-sectarian religion that has already been recognized and called the religion of the great light. And this, what they call God's plan, is actually Satan's plan.
How do you know that, David?
This is the same thing that was taught and passed down from Satan himself through the mystery religions into the reservoir of Masonry and brought down to us in America via Freemasonry. Now we'll read on. Just as Providence has chosen the Jewish race, the children of Israel, to bring into the world righteousness by carrying the 10 Commandments, which emphasize, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy, so also Providence has chosen the Nordic race to unfold the new age of the world, a Novus Ordo Seclorum. The Nordics are the highest branch of the 5th Aryan civilization. Did you know that? The Latins are the 4th Aryan civilization. I bet you didn't know that either. And the American race will be the 6th Aryan civilization.
Looking at this article, and I've provided a link to it below so that you can go and read it yourself, although the language is alarming to us, the context of it is not at all racist or insulting. So there's nothing, they're not putting anyone down. They're not saying that one race is superior or inferior to another.
Now where they're getting this from is The Secret Doctrine of Madame Blavatsky. And what this is the doctrine of the supremacy of the Aryan white race.
Oh, David. Okay, I don't believe that the person who wrote this article was talking about the Aryan race, as H.P. Blavatsky was referring to the Aryan race. The term Aryan that is used by H.P. Blavatsky is something completely different. So let me take this from H.P. Blavatsky's Theosophy.com, and again, the links will be below. The term root race is used to refer to specific epochs of civilization. According to the teachings of Theosophy and HPB, 4 of these epochs or root races have already come and gone on our globe, each succeeding the other after tens or even hundreds of thousands of years, and each root race and its own particular continent eventually being largely destroyed and wiped out by natural disaster. The first 4 root races no longer exist because those epochs have run their course. They were the Polarian race, the Hyperborean race, the Lemurian race, and the Atlanteans. Mankind's evolution requires that there will be 7 major epochs and thus 7 root races in total. It is the 5th which is currently underway, and this is mainly referred to in Theosophy as the Aryan root race. It is called the Aryan because the beginnings of its civilization were in the ancient land once known as Aryavarta, but today known as India. All the various races in the world today descend originally from Mother India, according to Theosophy. So this is a very old accusation that because she uses this term Aryan, that she is talking about the Aryan race, and no, she is not. She is talking about Aryavarta, which is supposed to be Mother India.
The Secret Doctrine of Madame Blavatsky is the book that Adolf Hitler kept on his bedstand. This is the doctrine that fostered Aryanism, skinheads, the Ku Klux Klan, and by the way, also Albert Pike, while he was the head, the Grand Commander of the Scottish Rite, was also the head of the Ku Klux Klan in Arkansas.
No, he was not.
This is the racist Antichrist philosophy of the superiority of the Aryan white race. But we want to talk a little bit about the role of Albert Pike. Albert Pike was Sovereign Grand Commander of the Scottish Rite. He's responsible for the writing of the Scottish Rite journals. And in A Bridge to Light, published in 1988, this makes the role of Albert Pike quite clear. The current Sovereign Grand Commander, C. Fred Kleinknecht, wrote in the foreword, "The apex of our teachings are our rituals and morals and dogma, written by our beloved Sovereign Grand Commander, Albert Pike." And then this is in the foreword to A Bridge to Light. And of course, many Freemasons in the Scottish Rite, they like to say, you know, Mr. Pike, you know, he's back in the old days, we really don't honor him. And that certainly is not true, as an abundance of quotes could show. The January 1996 issue of the Scottish Rite Journal, the Ritual and Ceremonial Forms Committee announced that the rituals of the Scottish Rite were to be revised. What is the prime directive when revising the rituals? Quote, "The committee will hold all degrees to the highest standards regarding content and style. The criteria for this will include A, preservation of the content of the original Albert Pike ritual," unquote. This is a book entitled The Ku Klux Klan, The Fiery Cross by Wynne Craig Wade, published in 1987. It has been well reviewed by several news organizations, San Francisco Chronicle, the Houston Chronicle, the Boston Sun Globe, etc., etc. This is what it says. And here we're going to tie Mr. Pike to the Klan, which is easy to do. It's a well-known fact that they're hard-pressed to deny. After the Klan had spread outward from Tennessee, there wasn't the slightest chance of central control over it. a problem that would characterize the Klan throughout its long career. Prominent Southern gentlemen were later cited as state leaders of the Invisible Empire. Alabama claimed General John T. Morgan as Grand Dragon. Arkansas was headed by General Albert Pike, explorer and poet. Win Craig, the Fiery Cross.
So as for supposedly Albert Pike being in the Ku Klux Klan, I'm taking this from the Masonic Info, which there'll be a link below. So regarding the Fiery Cross, while a book written in the 1980s, Win Craig Wade's The Fiery Cross, which purports to be a history of the Klan, has received generally favorable reviews. A critical examination reveals that there are several flaws in the work. Wade was a clinical psychologist who holds no degree in history. His only prior work was a book on the Titanic, which received virtually no attention whatsoever. He apparently left his psychology to teach classes in writing. Reed's Business Information says Wade's historical inserts are often inane. In his book, there is one mention of Pike. It's on page 58. After the Klan had spread outward from Tennessee, there wasn't the slightest chance of central control over it, a problem that would characterize the Klan throughout its long career. Prominent Southern gentlemen were later cited, emphasis added by Masonic Info, as stated leaders of the Invisible Empire. Alabama claimed General T. Morgan as Grand Dragon. Arkansas was headed by General Albert Pike, explorer and poet. North Carolina was led by former Governor Zebulon Vance, and Georgia by General John B. Gordon, later a U.S. Senator. Please note that Wade does not say who they were later cited, but the leadership of these men, originally appointed by Memphis officials, was usually in name only, and nowhere lasted longer than 1869. Such experienced veterans quickly realized the impossibility of governing in secret such widespread bands of young Hellions, and wanted no responsibility for it. Regrettably, Wade doesn't put his footnotes for his claims in an interlinear manner. All references are simply listed in the back of the book with a page number and simply as a list of books. It's impossible to tell what information on any given page in his book is supported by said citation and what isn't. We've never seen a reference work, or any other book actually, with references done in this manner. It certainly isn't APA, ALA, or any other accepted academic format, and we certainly hope that he doesn't teach his students to write this way. Way back on page 459 of the over 500-page work, the reference above is the only mention of Pike. The references to Klan leaders are cited as Stanley Horn, The Invisible Empire, and Susan Davis, Authentic History, Ku Klux Klan, 1865 to 1877. Neither of these books offers any proof of any of their claims about Pike. No citations are provided in either book. Again, unsupportable claims furnished to defame a long-deceased individual and Freemasonry.